for the math text next week. It's so many materials I need to study, but there's no time left. I need to work even harder, and I plan to use all my nighttime to study. Ow, my stomach hurts. I need to go to the toilet.
Are you okay? You look like you need to take a rest in a medical room.
No, it's okay. I feel much better now after going to the toilet. But there's no time to waste. I need to study all the materials by the end of this week.
You seem to be feeling down lately. What's wrong?
I don't know neither, but I feel tired and hard to concentrate lately. I have trouble sleeping. I sometimes have an upset stomach, faster heart beating, and sweating when I'm studying.
You may be experiencing anxiety. That's what happens when you get anxious.
Anxiety is an emotion. It's an emotion that every single human being has. If you ask every single person whether or not they have experienced anxiety before, they will all say yes at some point. So if we ask the question, how can we notice if someone has anxiety, then it will be everyone has anxiety. But then if the question is more about how can we notice if someone has a problem with anxiety, then I would say the most noticeable thing would usually be in one's changes in behaviors. So for example, if someone that used to be a social butterfly and then they stop talking to people altogether, or you notice them very seldom talking to people, then maybe it's a good sign that one's emotional state is not that great, or one is experiencing anxiety. Or another way to notice it is through changes in eating, or in sleeping, or in how much they engage with their social behavior, how much effort they spend on academic studies or performances or things like that. But then these changes are not necessarily a sign for anxiety, because it can be a sign for having struggled with other emotions as well. For example, having depressive mood or just having family problems that lead to those changes. So I think the best way to do it is if you notice some changes in your friends or your family, ask them questions about it. Hey, have you been feeling a little bit anxious? Have you been having a lot of worries lately? What are you worried about? And things like that.
That may be the case. I worry that I'll perform badly on the test. Sometimes I'm even afraid that I'm going to fail the test, and my mom and dad will be disappointed in me. I start worrying at night and having a hard time sleeping. But I think I do need to stop this.
Hey, get up. Are you breathing? Get up! Get up! Are you okay? Are you okay?
It might not always be easy to directly observe if someone has anxiety. For example, let's start with the physical symptoms. The physical symptoms of anxiety is called fight, flight, or freeze response. So for example, what typically happens is that people notice their muscle getting tensed, sometimes in the legs, sometimes in the arms, sometimes maybe in the forehead, or maybe everywhere on the body. Sometimes people would also notice increased body temperature. So some people would say that I'm experiencing hot flushes, or just feeling a little bit more warmer than normal. Some people might even sweat quite a lot when they're feeling anxious. Some people notice shakiness in their limbs, like arms or legs, or generally in the body. A lot of people notice an increased pace of breathing, or an increased sense of heart rate. Or some people would say that this area feels a little bit more tense or shallow or difficulty breathing, sensations like this. And quite a lot of people would report having increased need of having to use the bathroom, or a decreased need of eating something, or a decreased appetite in general. And other symptoms are usually mental related, or related more to one's thinking or thoughts.
Are you okay? Do you feel any better?
Yeah, I feel much better now. Thanks a lot. It seems like I'm experiencing anxiety. What can I do to help myself?
I guess to start from recognizing anxiety, a lot of the time, psychologists would tell people to spend some time doing mindfulness exercises. And another way for us to notice anxiety is to spend more time just asking myself that question, hey, how am I feeling today? Am I feeling a little bit anxious? What do I notice in my body? What do I notice in my mind? Is my mind going negatively all the time? Or is it kind of thinking about things rationally? Am I feeling tense in my body? Is my heart rate increased? Is my breathing pace increased? And then I think the last part of recognizing is to try to learn more about anxiety itself. Because the more you know it, you understand it, the more you're going to be able to pay attention to it as well.
Don't worry, I'm your best friend. You can share your thoughts and feelings with me anytime, anywhere. It's important for you to ask people when you need to talk to them.
The most important thing is to not invalidate other people's anxiety. So when other people tell us about having struggles with anxiety, quite a lot of the time the natural instinct is to try to calm them down by saying, hey, nothing is wrong, don't worry about it, it's all going to be okay. But then in the point of view of the person experiencing anxiety, even though they might know rationally it might be okay, the what ifs or the negative thinking might lead to them believing that it's not totally okay. At that point, if you tell them, hey, everything is gonna be okay, it's a little bit like telling someone that's hungry, just don't be hungry, you're okay, you're not gonna starve to death. So the first thing to do is to try to validate their concerns. So say, hey, I noticed that you're feeling anxious, and I totally understand it as well. A big test is coming, or you're worried about your social interactions, or you're worried about how your parents going to be when you tell them something. It's totally normal. Just try to focus on managing the anxiety instead of telling yourself not to be anxious. I guess in essence, anxiety is an emotion, a universal emotion, which means every single person has it. So if you are experiencing anxiety, quite a lot of the time, you don't necessarily need to manage it. Quite a lot of the time, it's just a natural human experience itself. But then if we notice ourselves feeling anxious all the time without us being able to relax, or if we feel anxiety in a really, really intense kind of way, then it might be a good time for us to ask myself, hey, am I feeling a lot of anxiety now? Is anxiety becoming a little bit of a problem for me? If that happens, first thing to do, stay calm, because quite a lot of people in the world experiences struggles with anxiety as well. That's why professions like psychologists exist. And the second thing to do is to try to talk to people around you about it. Talk to your peers, talk to your family, talk to your teachers, your principal, talk to anyone that you think might be able to help. Because a lot of the time, keeping it in secret is what makes anxiety a little bit worse or more difficult to tolerate. And then the last thing, if the struggle continues, even after me trying to talk to people about it or trying to change something, then it might be a good time to think of whether or not I should try to seek help from mental health professionals, like a social worker at school or a psychologist or anyone that might be able to help. And there's absolutely no shame of asking for help, because I think asking for help is one of the most important things to learn as a human being, because we all need help once in a while.
Hi, we are the Healthy School team from the Center for Health Education and Health Promotion of CUHK. Welcome to the GoSmart channel. We would love for you to join the family. You can do so by clicking the link below and scanning the QR code and completing the member registration form. Then you'll get a notification every time we post, and may download our supplementary education resources for free. You may also subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow our Instagram. We'll see you in our next video. Bye!